Hello, and welcome to the Sharper Shift podcast. I am your host, Shiv Reddy. This is episode 6 and the final episode breaking down over-under wins for the season, for the teams, and everything else of 2022. So, again, this is the last episode where we're breaking down over-under wins. Next week is finally the start of the NFL season, week 1. I can't wait. It's a freaking Christmas holiday again, all the way in September. So let's look forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I think everybody's been waiting so far. All there's been on TV is baseball, a little bit of college football this weekend, which will be nice change of pace right there. But definitely looking forward to everything we got from a football standpoint coming up. So without further ado, the last individual division we're going to be breaking down is the NFC North. So the NFC North, as we know, has the Chicago Bears, the Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Green Bay Packers. And let's get started here. So Chicago Bears, they're sitting at over under 6.5. This team is young. This team will probably fight. I mean, we saw them in the last preseason game. Justin Fields looked pretty good. He went 14 of 18 on throws that he led 3 series. So and he actually threw 3 touchdowns, which was awesome to see. It looks like he's going to make that year 2 leap. I don't know how much of a leap it's going to be because of this offensive line that they're having issues with. I mean, they have been active on the waiver wire, like someone in fantasy hawking down everything on the waiver wire for that week. I mean, they've been going out and signing free agents like crazy. I mean, they're having a complete overhaul of their roster. So let's see to look what they do in this week coming up. I mean, there's a lot of people that need to get up to speed. Their first matchup is really hard. It's a really tough one with San Francisco 49ers coming into town, but it looks like they are trying to overhaul some of those positions that are weaker strategy-wise, like the guard position on the offensive line, as well as some defensive linemen as well, like tackles and such, and so on and so forth. But we'll see how this Bears team does. I mean, they get Matt Eberflus from the Indianapolis Colts, and 6.5 is a little steep for me. I think that this Bears team is going to underachieve and definitely going to go under that win total. I think the 6.5 number is asking a lot, especially in a very tough division with the Lions, the Vikings, and Packers. I think the Lions are on schedule of their rebuild, and they're looking better than ever for the past couple of seasons now. So it looks to be a tough division here. 6.5 is definitely a number where I am not comfortable laying right here, but I'm going to go with the under 6.5. I think their defense has a lot to manage, especially getting rid of defensive coordinator and Sean Desai, who's going to the Seattle Seahawks. And there's going to be a lot of Eberflus zone defense schemes there. And let's see if these corners are fit to do that. But anyways, I'm going to go with the under 6.5. Next up, we got the Detroit Lions, and shout out to my boys at PFC Sports, Alex and Trey. They've been holding down the fort over there with the Lions. They do have a draft pick over there that just recently signed this summer, Josh Pascal. He's been on the defensive line. Obviously, he is on the PUP list, so he looks to get started and going. But their defensive line is something that I want to touch on here. It looks like their team has entered into the free agency with a lot of emphasis on that line, and as well as the wide receiver corps. So they do go out and get DJ Shark. They got Aiden Hutchinson, the draft on the defensive line there. They have yet to see Romeo Okwara in camp, as well as Pascal and others on that defensive line. So I think it's going to be an adjustment period in the beginning of the season. They do sit at an over under 6.5 here. I do like the 6.5. I like it to go over. I think they're going to get about 7 to 8 wins, especially in this tough division. If they play at home and get that home field advantage that they've been looking for the past couple of years, I think they should be a really good team to reckon with at home, and bet the number on at home especially. Jared Goff looks to make a leap in his second year with the Detroit Lions. I think he's got a good offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson out there. The other coaching staff is questionable. don't really like what I see from defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. I think his schemes are definitely something to look ahead on when we look at how he's coaching the team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they are the hard knock starlings, so we got to look into some of their team and some of the depth chart moves that they've already had and they've already released with their new 53-man roster. But I do like the over 6.5. I think their defense is going to make adjustments in the middle of the season, and I think they can be they can at least have some meaningful games in December, which would be good for the city of Detroit and their franchise. So I'd like the over 6.5 here. Next up, we got the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings with Kirk Cousins in his 5th year now. I mean, I can't believe time flies. He is now out of the top 5 of the most highly paid quarterbacks after getting so much money in the beginning, and he has a offensive weaponry that is a force to reckon with here. I mean, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen's back as well. We got Dalvin Cook in the backfield. Irv Smith Jr. will be back from injury as well at the tight end position, and he does have an offensive line that has upgraded from last season. So I think this offense is going to be one of the best offenses in the league. I don't think that a lot of the teams in the division, especially the Bears and the Lions, will be able to stop this offensive powerhouse here. So I like the Vikings over 9.5. I think their defense is going to hold up very stout too. They did get Zadarius Smith from the Green Bay Packers to provide some kind of edge rush that they lacked last season. So it looks like this team is going to make strides here. I do like the over 9.5. A lot of people got this number at 8.5, which is great from a win total perspective. This is sitting at over 9.5 right now, but I still do like that number. I think they're going to eclipse 10 wins, and I think we'll go on to my banger best bet later, but a little sneak preview here. I think they're going to win this division. So, and last but not least, we got the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers over under 10.5. So the Green Bay Packers, they do lose a lot of key players here. I mean, they lose Devontae Adams, but they do add, I mean, one key player really. He is one of the biggest superstars of this league to the Raiders. He goes, and I think this Green Bay Packers offense is going to be looking a little bit different. I don't think they have that wide receiver reliable guy anymore. Hopefully Tanyan can get back on track and provide that reliability for Aaron Rodgers. He's got a lot of new receivers to work with. I mean, he's gotten some reps with Lazard in the past couple of seasons, and Randall Cobb obviously is his second stint in Green Bay, but he's got a lot to work with in Sammy Watkins as well. I mean, Rodgers is rated one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league, so I'm sure he will make it work. I'm just not fond of this number, specifically related to the offensive line. I think David Bakhtiari and Elgton Jenkins both are injured. They got injured way before this season started, way before this training camp started last year. They both tore their ACLs, and those tackle positions are one of the most important positions in football other than the quarterback. So I think this team is going to be heavily rely on those tackles to make sure that they're healthy. If not, it's going to be quite a disaster from the offensive side of the ball. When we look at the defense here has made very vast upgrades. I mean, they go out and get a bunch of young defensive linemen last year and young linebackers last year, and they did provide a spark for this Green Bay defense. This Green Bay defense was one of the best in the league last year, and I think they're going to continue to do that this year as well. They do have a great defensive mind in coaching as well, so I think this team is going to look up. I do question the offensive line, and that's why I'm going to go under 10.5. I am not personally betting this, but I do think that the 10.5 is a little bit too steep. I don't think they're going to have that much success as they did last year, and Aaron Rodgers is only getting older. Obviously, that doesn't matter to Tom Brady, and neither does it matter to Aaron Rodgers, but the mobility is not going to be there, especially with the banged-up offensive line. So I'm going to go with the under here. And for the banger best bet, this last podcast of the preseason picks, I am going to go with the Minnesota Vikings plus 280 on the money line for them to win the actual division. I mean, that number is very high, plus 280, but I think it is a good bet. I think this team is going to be off the chains. I think they're going to be awesome. They're going to be Defensively and offensively, they are very stout. So look for this team to make some strides. And we will see you guys next week and breaking down 5 games. We're going to be breaking down 5 games, hopefully giving you those 5 picks to cash out the window. So there you have it. All of the previews are done. All of the previews are set, and we are ready to go into week 1. Can't wait.